Hello, my dear students of the third prep. At the first, all of us will congratulate you for the beginning of the new educational year. All of us here say for you happy new educational year. At first, let's welcome with my friend Mr. Muhammad. Hello, Mr. Muhammad.
Hello, Mr. Muhammad. How are you?
Fine, fine, thank you.
I hope we have a new year, educational year, with new concept of education, with a new concept of how can we understand any point in our curriculum in this year.
Yes, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes.
At first, Mr. Muhammad, we will introduce for our students our curriculum of science.
Yes.
The content
Yes.
of the curriculum
Yes.
in the third prep.
Yes.
Let's give a brief for this.
As you mentioned before, we have 4 units here. We have Unit 1 talking about or especially physics, as we have here to study motion, especially motion in one direction, and we have to study at the same time speed, acceleration, and the types of physical quantities. We have here scalar and vector physical quantities. At the same time, we have Unit 2. Here in Unit 2, we have another concept in science, especially physics, like Unit 1, but here we talk about the behavior of light or light's beam through mirrors and lenses. Yes. As here we have types of mirrors. We have plane mirrors, like at your home mirrors. At the same time, we have another types of mirrors, as we have concave and convex mirrors. We have lesson 2 in Unit 2. We will talk about the lenses, as we have 2 types of lenses, as concave lenses, like the 2 lenses of my glasses, and we have convex lenses. العدسات زي ما بيسموها عدسات مقعرة ومحدبة. We have Unit 3 here. In this unit we will talk about the universe. Also we will talk about the solar system and planets, universe. Yes. Also the origin of solar system and the origin of universe, أصل الكون وأصل المجموعة الشمسية. Then we have another concept or branch of science here in Unit 4, and we will talk about as here we have to talk about
cell division. I think cell division.
Yes, cell division. Here we will talk about الانقسام الخلوي أو cell division, and we have 2 types of cell division, as we have mitosis or mitotic cell division and meiosis or meiotic cell division. We have 4 units, but firstly we have to know here our phone number. We should talk to us or contact us through this number. We have 2575 6187. أقوله تاني 2575 6187 2575 6187. So let's go, dear students, to study or start our lesson today. But if you have any point to
No. I wanted to tell them to contact us, as you say.
Yes.
As you told them the telephone number.
Yes.
And if there are any questions or any difficult points in our curriculum, they contact us to solve them or to help them for answering these questions.
Yes.
Mr. Muhammad, in Unit 1, we deal with motion in one direction, as you said, physics branch.
Yes.
From you told us that the 4 units represents or concentrated at physics and biology.
Yes.
There is no chemistry in this term.
Second term.
The second term,
yes.
They will study chemical reaction and chemical branch.
Tamam.
But at Unit 1 here, we move about motion in one direction. We will deal with different items or different new words, like motion, the meaning of motion, meaning of speed, acceleration, velocity, and so on.
Yes.
Let's start with the meaning of motion, because here we deal with motion in one direction, but there are different motions.
As they studied before in
Yes.
first prep,
Yes.
circular motion, according to other types of
motion,
force.
vibrational motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Second prep.
Wave motion.
Wave
Yes.
motion. Yes.
But now we
have
will
only-
start with them for the motion in one direction. At
direction,
first, let's define what is the meaning of motion.
Okay. Firstly, dear students, here as we have to know what is meant by motion in one direction. Here we have to talk about a special kind of motion. Motion in one direction may be forward or backward only.
Yes.
We have no other types here in this syllabus or curriculum about the other kinds of motion, as we have vibrational motion, wave motion, circular motion, and so on. Firstly, if we want to move this mobile from this place to another place, we have here to make a motion. So what is meant by motion? Motion is a change in the object's position as time passes or
Yes.
through time unit, يعني بمرور الوقت. Any physical quantities as speed, as motion, as acceleration, here we talk about quantity with time. So we should related between this quantity and time. Time will pass. الوقت هيتحرك مهما كان. So here, what is meant by motion? Motion is a change in the position through time unit or as time passes. As we see here in this monitor here, unit 1, lesson 1, motion in one direction. زي ما احنا شايفين على الشاشة هنا لو سمحتوا هنا هو unit 1 lesson 1 motion in one direction. As we have here to know what is meant by motion, يعني ايه حركة. زي ما احنا شايفين قدامنا هنا هو motion, which means what? Motion is the change of the object's object what? Position as time passes.
Yes.
يعني هي تعتبر تغيير موقع أو موضع الجسم بمرور الزمن. يبقى it is أو is the change of the object's position as time passes. If we want to move from this point as point A toward point B, so here we change what? We change the position of this object from point A to point B, and this motion takes time. هتاخد وقت أكيد. So through time أو as time passes, here other factor affecting the or from the factors affecting the motion of any object. So here change the position of any object as time passes. And here we will going through the syllabus, as here we have movement of train considered as example or example of motion in one direction. يعني بنتكلم على حركة القطر هنا. As first give reason in this syllabus. We talk about motion or movement of train maybe as example here or considered as example of motion in one direction. يعني حركة في اتجاه واحد. This question depends, or any question in science, especially this question depends on how can we understand the concept of motion. So here we talk about motion in what? In one direction. يعني حركة في اتجاه واحد. So we can answer from the question and we can say here because they can move forward or backward only, not upward or downward. So here train will move from, as we see here, from point A to point B, then return back from point B to point A. So in this case we talk about motion in one direction, maybe forward or maybe backward, not upward or downward. مش هيتحرك لأعلى أو لأسفل. So here we talk about motion in one direction as the first give reason in our syllabus in this year. يبقى لما يجي يتكلم معايا about motion or movement of any objects in one direction زي ما انتم شايفين هنا هو قدامنا بيتكلم على movement of train considered as an example of motion in one direction. We talk about motion as forward here or backward.
So here, Mr. We are asked our students to complete the sentences. Motion depends on two factors. From your explaining the meaning of motion, you said that it's the change in place. A change in place as time passed. So there is a movement and time.
Yes.
If we move from point A to point B, so we change place
Yes.
with the time. If we are at A at 10 o'clock
Yes.
and we move to B at 8 o'clock, this is no movement
Yes.
here because there is no time.
Yes.
So motion depends into factors.
Yes, motion depends on factors.
Yes.
As speed, we will talk about it later. Here we have to know motion depends on two factors, as change in position at the same time as time passes, second factor affecting motion, and other physical quantities. If I stay as it is in the same position or the same place, so here no motion, because motion needs change in position. يبقى بغير مكاني at the same time as time passes. So here we have two factors, and especially in this syllabus we talk about what? We talk about motion in one direction. So any object we talk about it in this syllabus or this curriculum, we talk about motion in one direction, as train, as car, as aeroplane, as boat, and so on. We talk about this special type of movement, motion in one direction, forward or backward only, not upward or downward. So again, I will notification just to know our telephone number 25756187 2575 6187 2575 6187. So here we have to know other concept in this syllabus, as we have speed. Here we have to know what is meant by speed. Speed طبعا زي ما احنا عارفينها in English معناها السرعة. So what is meant by speed? Firstly, we should know any factors or any physical quantity depends on two factors at least, as we study in this curriculum. So what is meant by speed? Distance covered المسافة اللي همشيها through time unit. Through time unit, as we have to know here what is meant by speed. Distance covered here through time unit, or maybe we can say in other way, in here 1 second.
Yes.
We can say distance covered through time unit or distance covered in 1 second. So from this definition we can know here, dear students, as we have to know the physical quantities from the mathematical rule. Here we have V as speed equal D over T.
Yes.
D
distance.
over distance over time.
Yes.
So we have three physical quantities here. عندنا three physical quantities. Number one, here we have V. V here, which means speed. Some students may say which means velocity. No.
no.
معناها speed. هنا V معناها السرعة, speed. And here we have D, which means what?
Distance.
Distance, yes. So here we have distance. And at the same time here we have the third concept here, as we talk about time. So we have to know what is meant by speed. Speed is what? Is distance covered from the magic triangle here through time unit. At the same time we should know the يعني زي ما نقول كده measuring unit of distance and time. Yes. Here we have distance has two measuring units. Maybe we can measure distance in meter بالمتر أو in kilometer يعني kilometer طبعا. And time we can measure time by two measuring units here as seconds and hour. So from the 2 points here as number one, distance in meter or kilometer, time in second or in hour, so we can conclude the measuring unit of what here? Of speed, as speed has two measuring units here, as we can say meter per second or kilometer per hour. So from this magic triangle, we can conclude the definition, distance covered through time unit or through 1 second. At the same time, we can conclude the measuring unit of speed from the measuring unit of distance and the measuring unit of time.
So here, mister, we can summarize this by simple words. What is the meaning of speed? Speed is the distance that's covered by moving body in unit time or in 1 second. The distance covered by moving body in 1 second. And the speed depends on 2 factors. The first distance and the second is time.
Yes.
So when we use mathematical laws or equation, we said that V equal D over T.
Yes.
D measured by meter or kilometers,
yes,
and S measured by second or hours. If we use distance by meter, the time calculated by second.
Yes.
So when we said what is the unit used to measure the speed, we said meter per second.
Yes.
If we use distance or deal with distance by kilometers, the time is taken by hours. So the unit or another unit for speed, kilometer per hours.
Yes.
At any equation or any problem, when students asked to solve the problem asking about speed, we must make the unit as the same.
Yes, meter per second or kilometer
per hour.
Not kilometer per second,
yes,
not meter per hour. Yes. Yes,
طيب هنستسمحك مستر محمد في تليفون معانا. الو.
الو، مساء الخير يا فندم.
مساء النور، ازي حضرتك؟
الله يخليك. من فضلك عايز اسال سؤال. What is the difference between motion and speed?
Motion and speed.
Yes.
Yes, mister.
You have another
questions?
ميرسي قوي، شكرا ليك.
شكرا
ليكم والله على البرنامج الحلوه دي.
شكرا لحضرتك، ودايما تتواصلي معانا باذن الله في اي اسئله باذن الله واي ايضاحات. شكرا لحضرتك. Mister, I think it is very easy to compare between motion and speed.
Some students sometimes have some problems to differentiate between motion and speed. Here we should the two concepts have one common factor between them: time. We talk about time in any concept in the especially in unit 1. So if we talk about motion, motion is distance is change in the position through time unit. تغيير مكاني بمرور الوقت. يعني from
place to another place.
Disk, yes, maybe to TV, toward the refrigerator, toward the kitchen, toward a couch اللي هي الكنبة. So I will change my position through time unit بمرور الوقت. But if we talk about speed, we talk about change in what? In distance or distance covered. ممكن على فكرة نقولها change in distance، تغيير في المسافة، لأن distance will change as time passes according to the definition of speed. So speed is distance covered through time unit, while motion is change in position through time unit. Maybe we can say change in the object's position in 1 second, or change in the object position through time passes or in time unit. يعني براحتنا، المهم ان انا اقول تغيير في المكان.
Yes.
But distance, but speed has number 1 distance covered through time unit. So we can differentiate between distance and time to mention the speed, and position and time to mention the motion as the first definition in this syllabus. Okay.
Yes, mister. Motion not calculated. It is expressed for a change in place as time passes. But speed calculated by using law.
Has measuring unit, has mathematical law and so on.
Yes, mister. طب معانا تليفون تاني. الو. الو.
مساء الخير.
مساء النور.
لو سمحت كان عندي سؤال. اولا كل سنه وانتم طيبين وسنه سعيده ان شاء الله.
وحضرتك طيبه ان شاء الله. اتفضلي.
كان عندي سؤال لقيته في الكتاب بتاع الوزاره، كنت عايزه اقوله، ممكن؟
اتفضلي.
طيب car moves with speed.
طب اتفضلي حضرتك قوليه. ايوه. car
moves with speed.
سامعك، اتفضلي. car moves
with speed
with speed
50 kilometer
50 kilometers
per hour.
per hour.
50
It moves.
kilometer per hour.
If you
It moves with speed
يعني car moves with speed 50 kilometer per hour. اوكي بعد
تمام.
كده
It moves with speed
again يعني هقول it moves with speed تاني.
تمام
mm,
meter per second.
car moves with
change.
speed 50 kilometer per hour. You want to calculate it in meter per second. عايزة تحسبيها بالمتر per
change
second.
اليونت.
بالظبط كده.
تمام يعني
Change
50 kilometer per
اليونت.
hour change into meter per second. Okay. You have another
نعم
question?
شكرا.
ميرسي جدا.
Yeah,
شكرا.
شكرا.
This point is the second point in this curriculum.
Yes.
As we have to know how can we convert from kilometer to meter and from hour to second.
Yes.
We have two ways to convert from kilometer per hour to meter per second. يعني ممكن نشوفها كده. لو احنا عندنا مثلا 50 على المونيتور لو سمحتوا 50 كيلومتر per hour okay into meter per second.
Yes.
So kilometer as we studied before in primary stage kilometer has how
into
many
meter.
has 1000 meters. So we multiply with 1000 and hour contains 60 minutes. Each hour contains 60 minutes and each minute contains 60 seconds. يبقى الhour هنا هو 60 times 60 يعني 3600. Okay. So we can make 50 times 1000 over 3600. Okay. Equal how many? By using calculator بقوم عامل 50 times 1000 equal how over 3600 equal how many? Equal 13.8 أو 88 أو 13.9. How what meter per second? Some students may use another concept here or another way to change from kilometer per hour into meter per second. How come? We can use here another simplified equation or constant number. بدل ما اعمل multiply 1000 over 3600
Yes.
we can multiply with 50 times 5 over 18. واحد يقول لي 5 over 18 comes from what؟ اقول له 5 over 18 is the simplify of 1000 over 3600. by calculator اهو ممكن اعملها برضو بالكالكوليتر 50 times 5 equal over 18 equal how many? Equal 13 point زي ما انتم شايفينها قدامكم هنا اهوت 13.88 يعني approximately equal 13.9 meter per second. So if now we can convert from kilometer per hour into meter per second and vice versa. طب واحد يقول لي how can I convert from meter per second into kilometer per hour؟ هعملها كده اهوت يعني from meter per second to kilometer per hour. Here we from the smallest quantity to the biggest one we divide.
Yes.
Over divide what? 5 over 18. Okay. يعني بقسم على 5 over 18 but from kilometer per hour to meter per second we multiply with what? With 5 over 18. So we have a special and very easy way to convert from kilometer per hour and meter to meter per second and vice versa. زي ما انتم شايفين كده لو رجعنا هنا كده عندنا اهو measuring unit of speed is meter per second when distance measured by meter and time measured by second. Okay. طيب or kilometer per hour when distance measured by kilometer and time measured by hour. We can't mix between mix بعلي صوتي اهو we can't mix between meter and hour or kilometer and second, meter per second and kilometer per hour to calculate or to use the constant measuring unit of distance, time and speed at the same time. As we make in this problem to convert from meter per second and the kilometer per hour and vice versa. As we have here, we have a problem.
Yes.
Train moves from Cairo to Alexandria at distance of 250 kilometer in 2 hours. Find its speed in kilometer and meter per second.
Yes.
As the same question from the previous phone from parent, here we can calculate like the previous way. بنفس الطريقة اللي عرفناها. هنا هو بيقول هو عمل 250 in 2 hours، يبقى speed V equal D over T. So here we have D 250 over how many? Over 2 equal how many? Equal 125 watt kilometer per hour. Why? Because we have distance in kilometer and here we have time in hours. طيب, how can we answer this question? By using what? By using meter per second. هقول له 125 times 5 over 18 equal how many? By using calculator اهو نفس الكالكوليتر هنستخدمه. 125 times 5 over 18 equal how many? 34.7. يبقى هقول له equal 34.7 ولازم اكتب له جنبيها ايه؟ ايوه meter per second, because we use another way to answer this question. I hope يعني
It is clear now.
Yes,
It is clear now because
yes,
when we deal with any problem, we must put our consideration in the units.
yes,
We must change unit. If we are not asked to change units,
yes,
as this direct problems, we must notice when we deal with two moving bodies.
تمام.
If we have two moving bodies and we want to compare between the speed of them, one of them is given by kilometer per hour and the other by meter per second.
Meter
So
per
we
second,
must
yes.
change.
Yes.
We must make a change. If we change from bigger to smaller, we multiply by 5 over 18. If we wanted to change from small to bigger or smaller to bigger, we divided on 5 over 18.
Just we remember them because they studied before these informations and this way to convert from kilometer per hour
Yes.
and vice versa in mathematics.
Yes.
In primary stage يعني
Yes.
خدوها في ابتدائي في الماث يعني. But just we try to remember you
them, yes.
how can we use. Here we have another concept in our lesson as we talk about the speedometer. Speedometer اللي هو عداد السرعة. سؤال give reason for. Give reason for cars and planes or boats or rockets اللي هي الصواريخ provide or are provided with a speedometer. ليه بيبقى فيها عداد سرعة؟ Anyone can answer this question to know the speed. Because I can't calculate the speed of my car or my motorcycle or bike or boat and so on by myself when I drive this
Yes.
this tool. So here we have very special give reason and very easy, so easy to answer this give reason for, as we have here cars and planes. ممكن نشوفه هنا بيقول لي cars and planes are provided with a speedometer زي ما انتم شايفين اللي هو عداد السرعة.
Yes.
أو طبعا we can answer this question طبعا to measure the speed directly عشان يقيس لي السرعة بطريقة مباشرة، أو we can say by to identify the speed directly.
Yes.
يعني ممكن أقولها measure أو identify
تعرفني
both.
السرعة اللي
تعرفها
احنا
أو
ماشيين بيها.
تقيسها طبعا.
Yes.
الاثنين صح والاثنين واحد. Next point in this as we
Types of
yes.
speed. Yes,
Types
Mr.
of
It is
speed.
very, very important because when we deal speed, we must know that there are different types of speed.
Different types of
we will
speed.
deal with uniform speed and non-uniform speed.
Yes.
So now we will compare between
two types.
uniform and non-uniform speed. Yes, Mr.
Here we have two main types as we have to describe speed or to classify the types of speed. يعني في فرق ما اوصف السرعة او بقول انواع السرعة.
Yes.
Here we talk about the types of speed as we have two main types of speed, uniform speed and non-uniform speed. Uniform يعني منتظم يعني regular speed.
Yes.
As we have distance and time. In this case, body covered equal distances at equal periods of time. And we have another concept here, non-uniform or irregular speed. The body covered unequal distances at equal periods of time or vice versa. يعني ممكن اقولها كده، اقول له body covered equal distances at unequal periods of time. One of them equal and the other unequal. يعني ما ينفعش اقول له body covered unequal distances at unequal periods of time. We should make one of them constant يعني ثابت او منتظم and the other is a طبعا variable او متغير اللي هو unequal. As we see here on this monitor ان هو بيقول لي types of speed: uniform speed and non-uniform speed. So here if we talk about uniform speed, objects that covers equal خلي بالنا distance in equal periods of time.
Yes.
of time. يعني الجسم بيمشي مسافات متساوية covers equal distances at أو in equal periods of time.
Yes.
So we talk about what and what? We talk about equal distances at equal periods of time. And here we have as you see here we have
a graph.
A graph represents the relation between distance and time here. طبعا we have distance here and here we have time, because we know from the previous slides V equal D over T, distance covered. So here we talk about what? We talk about uniform speed. So we have straight line passes through the origin point.
Yes.
If we want to talk again distance and time, so we have straight line passes through the origin point. Here we talk about the what?
Uniform speed.
Uniform
or
speed.
regular.
Or
yes.
regular speed.
Yes.
So if we have any give reason and this give reason contains uniform speed, we answer by using this definition: body covered أو covers equal distances at equal periods of time or intervals of time.
Yes.
And we have another type here as non-uniform speed. In this case, in non-uniform speed, we talk about non-uniform speed here, as here we have another way to identify non-uniform or irregular, سرعة غير منتظمة, like speed of cars, bus, طبعا due to the roads condition or traffic conditions. So here we have object that covers what? Unequal distance in equal periods of time. أو العكس, يعني ممكن هنا we can change unequal خليها ايه؟
يعني نخلي objects that covers
equal
distances
in
or at unequal periods
one of them equal and the other is unequal. يعني خلي واحدة كده واحدة كده.
Yes.
or ارجعها تاني اهي اهو, يبقى انا هقول له ايه؟ object covers unequal distances at equal periods of time. In this case, if we want to يعني draw a graph represents irregular speed or non-uniform speed, we have two axes. As you see here, we have number one, distance, vertical, yes. And time is horizontal axis.
Yes.
So we have what line? Zigzag or curved line passes through the origin point.
Yes.
Because in this case, one of them has two quantities, unequal distance in equal periods of time or vice versa. As we see here, we have give reason for
very important.
Yes, it's hard to measure a regular or uniform speed practically. عمليا واقعيا practically or actually we can't measure the speed of cars and planes يعني أو any object يعني on the surface of the earth.
Yes.
Practically can't move continuously as in uniform or regular speed. ما فيش جسم بيمشي بسرعة منتظمة طول الوقت على الأرض. أنا بتكلم على الأرض. Not in space. Maybe the speed of moon around the earth is uniform.
Yes.
And speed of earth around the sun is uniform. But here we talk about cars, planes, motorcycle, bike, and so on. So here we can answer due to one thing. In any place we talk about the roads condition or the traffic conditions. بسبب ايه؟ بسبب ظروف المرور او بسبب ظروف الشارع. We have maybe barriers مطبات.
طيب
we have
نستسمحك بس مستر محمد نخرج فاصل ونرجع تاني يا اولاد. Hello again my dear students, let's continue our explaining the speed and we deal with now regular and irregular speed. After discussing the difference between regular and irregular, mister, you asked a questions, give reasons for it is impossible or we can't measure regular speed practically.
Practically, yes.
Yes. Why?
So here we talk about that we can't أو it's hard or impossible طبعا واقعيا مش صعب يعني to measure the uniform speed of any object practically هنا معناها عمليا أو واقعيا يعني due to the traffic motion بسبب حركة المرور. ممكن نشوف اهو الانسر قدامنا هنا.
due to traffic.
It's hard to measure a regular uniform speed practically. هقول له طبعا due to traffic motion. Due to traffic motion.
And crowded.
And crowded places, yes.
Because there are many cars moving.
Rush hour or something like that and so on. Yes.
Mister, let's move to another concept.
Yes.
When we deal with speed, we will deal with different kind of speed. Now we explain what is the meaning of speed.
Yes.
And what is the difference between regular and irregular speed. But if we move to what is called average speed, this is a new concept.
Yes.
What is the meaning of average speed?
Average
Here,
speed.
mister, we deal with different speeds.
Yes.
A motion or a car moves with different speeds.
Yes.
So we are asked
or
to
irregular
calculate.
Speed.
Yes. So we are asked to calculate average speed.
Yes. Average.
What is the meaning of this, mister?
Average speed, in this case, we should use another way to calculate the average speed, and we use it specially to calculate the speed of non-uniform speeds objects.
Yes.
يعني لو جسم بيمشي بسرعة غير منتظمة, in this case we calculate the average speed أو السرعة المتوسطة. So here we calculate total distance covered over total time taken.
Yes.
Maybe I will move from this point A to point B and covered مثلا for example 50 meters in 2 seconds. Then from point B to point C and cover 60 meters in 1 second. Then cover from point D to point E
to
and
D,
so
yes.
on.
Yes.
So I covered many distances with different times, so we have non-uniform speed. In this case we need to calculate the average speed. So here we have a definition of the average speed as you see here on the monitor. Average speed is total distance covered تمام
yes.
divided by the total time taken to cover this distance. يعني كل المسافات اللي مشيتها هقسمها على كل الأوقات اللي أنا قضيتها في to cover this distance. So total distance covered over total time taken to cover this distance. As we have here average speed as the mathematical law of average speed, as we have V dash خلي بالنا equal total distance covered over total time taken to cover this distance.
Yes.
As we have here average speed, and we use average speed to calculate the speed of non-uniform or irregular speed. Here we have a problem to يعني نفهم منها and in this kind of problems we should draw like a draft. يعني مش لازم ارسم بالظبط, يعني برسم draft كده to
indicate the directions.
Yes.
And speed and the time taken. Yes.
Body covers 20 meters northward through 3 seconds. يعني طلع شمالا, يعني طلع لفوق طبعا. Then covered 40 meters eastward, يعني شرقا أو شرقا in 2 seconds. Then covered 20 meters southward with 4 seconds. Then covered 10 meters eastward, يعني غربا westward with 5 seconds. calculate its average speed. In this case, I should draw as a draft
Yes.
to mention the different distances and times to calculate the average speed. How come we can do it like that? برسم. هو قال لي هو
الفيرست
northward
موفمنت
شمالا.
ذا فيرست موفمنت
Yes, first movement 20 meter in 3 seconds. Then eastward يعني تحرك شرقا 40 meters in 2 seconds. Then southward يتحرك جنوبا in 20 meters in 4 seconds. Then اقول له moves westward غربا يعني رجع تاني كده غربا 10 meters in 5 seconds.
Yes.
10 meters ما قالش 40 meters. عارفين لو قال 40 meters
كنا عملنا
كنت هضطر اكمل لغايه هنا طبعا
لغاية
كده يبقى غلط لان هو مش
starting
قالش 40
point.
meters.
Yes.
طيب in this case we make what? We calculate the average speed v dash equal total distance covered over total time taken. In this case we have, as you see here, total distance how many? 20 plus 40 plus 20 plus 10 over 3 plus 2 plus 4 plus 5.
Yes.
So as you see here we have 20 and 40 60 80 90. يبقى عندي هنا هو v dash equal
90 meters.
90 over
Yes.
3 2
5
5 and 4 9 and 5
14.
14. So in this case we have equal by calculator 90 over 14 equal how many? Equal 6.4, and we can write it like that, 6.4 meter per second. Why? Because the measuring unit of distance is meter and the measuring unit of time is second.
Yes, mister. So here, if we want to get for the average speed, we must calculate all distance covered by the moving body and divided them on all time taken to cover.
Total time taken, sir.
I want to ask you if you agree with me.
Yes.
For if we get for the average speed,
Yes.
can we consider this value?
Yes.
هذه القيمة يعني is a regular speed. If the body move by it, it will cover this distance at this time.
Completely, 100% I am agree with you in this point, because we need to calculate the uniform speed of any object.
Yes.
So in this case we can't calculate the uniform speed of this object, so we have another option or second option as Mr. Muhammad said. So here we use average speed to calculate the speed of non-uniform speeds object or irregular speeds object. So we use here total distance covered over total time taken to calculate the average speed. And the average speed is the speed of this object if this object moves with uniform speed. لو هو مشي بسرعة منتظمة
دي
هيمشي بالطريقة دي
يعني.
أو cover this distance in this total time.
If we consider this value expressed for the speed of body, after calculating the average speed, we will consider this is regular speed if the body. لأن ده سؤال بيبقى مهم جدا بيسألوا فيه، هل السرعة المتوسطة، احنا عايزين نوضحها لهم بس شوية. السرعة المتوسطة هي السرعة المنتظمة التي لو تحرك والجسم ما تحركش بيه، الجسم تحرك with non-uniform speed, irregular speed, different speeds. So if the body move by this speed, it will cut all this distance at the same time. يبقى دي كانت هتعتبر سرعة منتظمة ليه لو هيقطع فيها نفس المسافة في نفس الزمن.
As you see, Mr. Muhammad, here we depend on how can we understand any concept in this lesson.
Yes.
Not just to remember أو إن أنا أحفظ وخلاص. We have number one motion يعني حركة، يبقى change in position as time passes. If we talk about the second concept in our lesson today, speed. As we talk about speed يعني سرعة، يعني distance covered through time unit أو in 1 second. Then we transfer to another way, as here we have two types of speed, as uniform and non-uniform speed. Each one of them has its own graph representation. As uniform, here we have a straight line pass through the origin point, and the non-uniform has zigzag or curved line pass through the origin point. As Mr. Muhammad said here, we should know, as if we talk about the average speed, we go to the average speed. If we talk about the non-uniform speed, if the body moves with uniform speed, we didn't need to talk about the average speed. لو جسمي بيتحرك بسرعة منتظمة مش هروح له اتكلم على الافريج سبيد. So average speed بنعتبرها. We considered average speed is the uniform speed of this object if this body moves with uniform speed.
Yes.
But this body at the same time moves with non-uniform speed. The last point in this lesson, and I think we can't cover this point in this episode, and we will continue in the next episode, inshallah. We will talk about the relative speed. And here relative speed is the speed of an object relative to another object. يعني لو أنا مثلا move in this direction and Mr. Muhammad move in the opposite direction, in this case we calculate my speed relative to Mr. Muhammad speed, and vice versa. Maybe we move in the opposite direction, maybe we move in the same direction, maybe I am in rest, يعني أنا ثابت, and Mr. Muhammad in
notice the movement when I at rest or I stand.
Yes.
If we move to this concept, Mr. Muhammad, relative speed, we can calculate the speed related to another person.
Yes.
If a car moves, this car is observed by a person.
Yes.
It may be stand or at rest and the car move, or the person in another car move in the same direction or move in opposite direction. So we will calculate the relative speed related to the person that observe the movement car or movement object.
And this way we use it to calculate the speed of any car or any moving object on the highways.
Yes.
الطرق السريعة اللي هم بيسموه the radar, to calculate the speed of this car if this car يعني passes or has more speed than legal speed, السرعة الرسمية. In this case we use the relative speed law to calculate the speed of this car to know if this car move with the legal speed or illegal speed أو سرعة غير قانونية. So I think we can understand this point completely, but I think يعني we have more time to define.
Yes, but at first let's me remember our students that when we make a graph,
yes,
for regular or irregular speed, we must indicate that there are two axes. The first vertical express for distance and the second horizontal express for time.
Yes.
So the two axes, distance and the time. Because in acceleration we will deal with another two items.
Yes.
In making a graph. We will deal with speed and time, not distance and time. It is very, very important because in many exams students are given some graphs, and we will ask them to choose the graph that represent for regular speed or irregular speed. You must look at the graph that the two dimensions of it are distance and time. Let's move to relative speed. The time pass, Mr. Muhammad.
Yes, okay.
Here, as you expect
to see, but just for 2 seconds.
Here,
yes. We have distance time to talk about the uniform speed, as we have here a straight line pass through the time axis. And if we talk about non-uniform speed, as you see here, we have zigzag line or curved line pass through time axis. But we should remember here we have distance and time, because we talk about the speed as uniform or non-uniform speed. I hope يعني my dear students can understand the four concepts in this episode.
Yes, Mr. And in next episodes we will continue explaining these lessons. Let's say for you goodbye and see you next week.